Shalom, this is Jonathan Feldstein in the Judean Mountains. I was not planning this morning when I woke up to have this conversation, but it's a really important conversation. I'm really grateful to my friend Johnny Daniels, who you see sitting in his car near the Polish-Ukrainian border. Johnny runs an organization called From the Depths, which we'll talk about a little bit, but he spends a lot of time in Poland looking out for the Jewish community, Holocaust survivors in particular, promoting Holocaust education and understanding, and certainly where possible, the word is escaping me, reconciliation between Jews and non-Jews. Lots of important work, but today we're speaking because I texted Johnny early this morning, our time. You can see it's nighttime in his car, out his car window. We're almost a week into this horrific Russian invasion of Ukraine. Forget the politics of it. Forget the fact that there's a war going on. There's a tremendous human fallout that I want to talk about. And Johnny is on the ground. We spoke while he was driving from Warsaw down to the border today. He's about to get back on the road because he has a lot to do. So we're just going to take a little bit of his time. Johnny, thank you. You and I haven't spoken since early in the day when you were still driving. It's night there now. What was transpiring at the border that we need to know about this crisis and how it's flowing over?
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I have to tell you that being at the border was one of the most shocking experiences I've ever had. You know, being involved as I am through my foundation with Holocaust education and memory memorial, you hear stories. You hear stories of refugees, of people running, of people having to flee. But having an opportunity to see this happen today is something that is just beyond harrowing. Seeing families, women holding babies and grandmothers pulling cases, taking the few things that they were able to, spending hours in a border, coming across, downtrodden, heartbroken. It was one of the most difficult experiences I've had, and I still haven't quite processed exactly everything I saw, because being there on ground, you're helping people, you're talking to people, you're getting an understanding of what's really going on. And today was very, very difficult. Up until this point, over 300,000 people alone crossed this border crossing that I was at today into Poland. And truly, it was just a very difficult and an emotional experience, and something that I really will take with me.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today because given your, if you will, day job, what you do on a day-to-day basis until a week ago, all we knew was Jews fleeing Poland and not always being able to get across those borders. And we know what happened. That's not the point to not belabor that, but here it is. And it kind of blows me away, honestly. You and some other people who I know who are on the ground, and we're kind of turning the tide of history, we're flipping it upside down in the sense that now here are Jews in Poland helping to rescue and provide support for those who are fleeing into Poland.
Correct. I mean, it goes even further than that. I mean, it was truly mind-blowing. As people were coming across the border, the first point for them to have any kind of medical assistance or care, and a lot of them needed it. A lot of these people by foot. It's freezing. I was cold in a big warm jacket and a hat. People have been walking for days, sleeping out in the snow. The amount of hypothermia and other things that the people were facing as they cross the border. The first tent that they see offering medical assistance has a huge Star of David on the front of it. It was a group of Israeli doctors. Amazing. And you're right. It was such a sanctification of God's name. Yeah. And so beautiful that you're 100% correct in what you said before, that just in this very place, 80 years ago, my family as well escaped to the safety and security of the United Kingdom, and were able to get there and remain safe. And today, Jews and many, many non-Jews, the majority, are escaping and being helped by Jews. And I think that this is something really that that made me very proud to be an Israeli today, to
Yes.
be able to see this happening. But it's honestly just a tip in what really needs to happen, and it's a very, very difficult process. Again, imagine running away with your children, everything you know, your friends, your neighbors, because of a crazy war that you didn't think. I was meant to be in Kiev this week, working with our work with the Righteous, meeting different people. I had a group of a congressional delegation that we were taking out to Babi Yar, to one of the most significant points of Holocaust Memory Memorial, which literally just 20 minutes ago was bombed.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I one of my maiden volunteers in Kiev who helps us with the Righteous lives just behind Babi Yar, and she sent me a video from her phone. Explosions. The Russians hit Babi Yar, this place of such significance. Babi Yar, for those who may not remember, is the site in which 33,791 Jews were massacred over 2 days by the Germans,
September
along
of
with the
1941.
Ukrainian helpers. Correct. Yeah. And they were all marched to this ravine in the city center and shot one after another into this mass grave. And this site, today bombed, it's just unbelievable that we're seeing these things.
Let me ask you something about that. I was in Ukraine when it was Soviet in 1987, and I went to Babi Yar. That's a separate story. But when I was there, other than one side across the street, it's an open ravine. It's not heavily developed. I'm wondering, I mean, what has it been built up in the last 30 years? Are they firing at bones in the ground?
No, there was apparently, according to the Russians, now there was a mast in the city, which is what we were trying to hit. Again, it's all very fluid on ground. This happened maybe 20 minutes ago, so it's quite exactly why on earth they shoot towards that area. And it's also a civilian populated area as well. No one built on Babi Yar, but around there a lot of people live, which is also, But again, this is the war that unfortunately we're seeing come to path and come to ground here in Ukraine, which is just basically a complete and utter bloodshed and it's very, very difficult, and it's.
Uh-oh. All right, well, stick with us. Hopefully Johnny's going to be back. I'm going to keep this recording going, and hopefully we'll just put him back in. You could hear during that conversation that we lost him. He cut out a little bit. I'm just going to monitor my phone, and hopefully he'll be able to come back in. But I wanted to underscore some things. I don't know how much time he's got. He's got about a 4.5 hour drive ahead of him, and it's now here he is. He's back. Great, thank God. It's now 7 o'clock in the evening there, so we're gonna not take a long time. But here he comes back. Hopefully. Thank you for sticking with us. This is real important, and it's a privilege to be able to bring it to you. There we go, Johnny. Okay.
Yeah, and my greatest apologies. One of the things, unfortunately, with what we're seeing on ground here now is in addition to the assistance that we're giving and working with the elderly, the righteous among the nations, and Holocaust survivors and others, there are also Jews fighting in the Ukrainian army right now. A friend of mine is fighting in Dnipro, when the city that is, really quite heavily under attack. And amazingly, he went up with sign up to fight equipment, like literally no equipment. You're going to fight. They're given a Kalashnikov, right? So it's go shoot. But unfortunately, they have very little with them. So today, in fact, it's in the back of the car, we were able to get helmets for them. So these are ballistic helmets that we were able to source for them, which has been very, very difficult because of the amount of people going back to fight. So someone was calling me about these, which we now have to get transported into Ukraine now, which is not an easy thing to do. So we're basically transporting stuff to the front lines to enable troops and our fellow brothers and sisters to attempt to stay safe.
Yeah, well, you cut out for a minute, but I know what you were talking about in terms of just Jews, but just civilians who are now bearing arms. I was thinking about it. It's not a topic about which to be humorous, but you remember the Marx Brothers line, "I would never want to be in a club that would have me as a member." I'm thinking, I'm 57 years old. If I were a Jew in Ukraine trying to get out and they had me stay, I have no military training. What good would I be? But they're keeping everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they're keeping everybody because they need everybody. People
Right.
are really getting out and fighting, and what choice do they have? Because
Right.
if it's not them, it's done.
It's
And,
nobody.
please God, this doesn't end up being a futile battle,
Correct.
but we don't know yet.
Correct. Correct. So Johnny, what are the
But
needs? You
we
mentioned
can only hope and pray that.
I was asking you. We do hope and pray, and we want this to end. It's kind of shocking to live. You and I are Israeli. We live in a situation. There's war, the threat of war on a regular basis, and I don't mean to dismiss that. We're used to it. It's been our existence for decades, for since the beginning. And I wish we didn't have that. But here you have a country that has just an unprovoked attack, and it seems like the Russians are coming in to do some real serious mischief, and there's a lot to pray about for the people, for the country, and how this spills over around the world. We did a webinar the other night about how the Iranians are looking at it, how the Chinese are looking at it, how our allies here in the Middle East need to be allied. But let's talk about, before we let you get on the road, because I know you're exhausted and I don't want you driving later than you have to be. We're praying for you as well. What are the needs when you see people coming across and you're in touch with people on the ground in Ukraine? What are the actual needs, so that when people are giving money to the Genesis 123 Foundation, that they know where the money's going?
Yeah, you know what? The needs are the most basic needs. And this is also something really important. Today, this morning, the righteous amongst the nations, these non-Jews who risked their lives to save their Jewish brothers and sisters before the war, you know what they asked for? They asked for bread.
Bread.
Bread. And it sounds so simple,
Right.
but it's not. It really isn't right now. A city under siege, no one's baking any bread. Thank God we have incredible people on ground who are volunteering with us, who literally risk their lives today to bring these people bread. It's
Wow.
a remarkable thing. So when you talk about what we need is to give them bread. We need to give them bread. We need to give them the other things that they need to stay safe and to be able to take care of themselves in a way that's smart, and that takes care of them on one hand, and on the other hand, do what's best for that enables them to keep the dignity that they deserve through this period as well.
Right.
And with others as well, when it comes to the Jews and others who have come into this country, it's small things. It's helping the little children, and it's, bringing them some toys to their hotels, to these absorption centers. It's giving a smile.
Yes.
And it's showing that we love them and that we care about them and that they're human beings. Their encounters over the last week with humanity has been one of pure evil.
Yes.
We have to show them that there are people out there who love and care unconditionally. And that really is our focus. With the immigrants, we're going there and we're giving them everything. Yesterday we met a 12-year-old, a family, and amongst this family was a 12-year-old girl. This 12-year-old girl is the same age as my daughter. Now, this girl left with nothing. My eldest daughter, who's 12, she's got more sneakers than I don't know what, right? It's that age. They love it. It's the most important thing there is. And you see this 12-year-old girl in a pair of boots that she's just run with. And when I thought, what could I give her? Obviously, beyond everything else that she needs, and I went out and I got her a really cool pair of sneakers. It wasn't expensive. That wasn't the point. The point was they were cool. They were these branded sneakers that every girl at that age would like. I called my 12-year-old and I said, Michali, I said, what trainers would be the coolest ones to get her? And we were on Zoom, me and my daughter, and she was like, Dad, those ones are awesome. So I went and I bought them and I gave them to her, and the smile on this girl's face.
That's amazing.
Right. And
I love that you're talking about kids, because it's not only that we can give them a smile, but also if the kids are happy, that's going to be a respite to a degree for the parents, because the parents, you have kids, I have kids. Um, our job is to take care of our kids. And when we can't do
Yeah.
that, even if it's not in our control, we're not doing our job, and there's pain. So for you to be able to make one 12-year-old girl happy, even if it's just for a moment, that's going to help her parents too. And I'm praying that people will respond to this appeal and give generously, so we can continue to do that. And we're grateful that you're on the ground looking at those things. And certainly, you had said to me before that the shelves in many stores in Poland are empty because people are buying and sending things down to the border, and they realize that Poland could be next. If Ukraine, if it's not stopped in Ukraine, Poland could be. So it's wonderful to see that in the international outpouring. I mentioned to you, I think, when we were speaking, I was not planning to do this week. I dismissed the notion because there are people like you, and there are many other people, and we spoke about Israeli groups and all kinds. You must see hundreds, if not thousands, of foreigners camped out at the border crossing looking to do something. But my motivation, other than of course doing something good, is that there are some people who are making claims that are not 100% kosher, that are not 100% legitimate. And even if they're well-intentioned, people who are arriving from all over the world don't have the infrastructure, don't have the network to be able to do what you're doing. So that's why I texted you this morning, and we spoke, what was it, 6 hours ago, maybe? Yeah, just about to try and set it up. So we're launching this.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I think that really is the case. I think that many people are well intentioned here, and many people want to help. But the truth is, it's kind of, it's, you have to really have an understanding and a feeling and a compassion and an empathy on a very, very, very personal level to understand what these people truly need in terms of help and support. And
Yeah.
it really is. It's a little bit here and it's a little bit there. It's, to purchase, buy every single thing and throw it out everywhere, you might as well not do it at all.
Correct.
And I think that this truly is how we've been sort of successful in making these little changes across the board. And, I'm grateful that I'm, thank God, in this position where I'm able to do this. And I feel truly blessed.
Well, we're grateful to you. I want to, just before I let you go, and maybe just the last word if you have, just to underscore two things. I'll put this in the notes for the video. Anyone who wants to donate can go to love.genesis123.co, love.genesis123.co, and we will make sure that the money is going to where it's needed the most, where we're making the biggest impact. And when I decided 2 days ago to launch this campaign, we kind of came up with 4 pillars of what it's going to be about. Certainly to the extent that Jews who want to come home to Israel and feel free and safe here and be part of the dynamic that you and I are blessed to be, building our land and our historic homeland. We want to support that where there are needs. But even as important, if not more important, is that there's successful absorption. That's not easy. It's not easy. You're an immigrant. I'm an immigrant. We have kids. Making sure that happens, especially families who are being forced to flee, is critical. Where we've spoken about, which I am so passionate, the idea of helping righteous Gentiles. You had told me earlier there are only 17 of them left in the entire country, Ukraine. So them and their families, and yes, it's giving back, and what a privilege to be able to do so. And the last thing, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but we've got Passover coming up, and there are going to be Jews who are stuck in Ukraine trying to figure out what to do for Passover, and living in a situation that Europe has not seen since the Holocaust, or since the early days of the Second World War. So we're going to be trying to figure out whatever resources we need to and can put into that. But Johnny, last word, what do you want people to know before you get on the road?
I think at the end of the day, there's obviously always a need for financial help and support, always. But there's also a significant need here for prayer and for love. And I think that more than anything, this simply proves to us that, you know, there is evil in this world, and that goes without saying. But the only thing that can really cancel this evil is love and care for one another. And I think that this is the most important thing. If there's a message from this from all of us, it's that we need to act as decent human beings towards each other. It doesn't matter what we think, what religion, what opinions, what politically motivates us, or whatever it may be. We're all human beings. We were all made in the image of God, and we need to act and behave like that. And, you know, this, at the end of the day, I've met with the vast majority of the living righteous amongst the nations. And what motivated these people to do what they did more than anything else was simply because they said it was the right thing to do. We all have the opportunity to do the right thing. And if you can afford to donate, donate. And if you can't, pray on it, because that also makes a difference. It truly, really does. And, you know, I'm praying that I'm going to get back on the road, and I've still got probably 5 hours driving ahead of me. So I'm going to sort of get going. But I, once again, deeply appreciate you and all that you're doing as well through your organization, because it does help. And I've been following you for a very long time. And I'm, you know, really, really appreciative of everything that you're doing as well. And it's amazing. Thank you for having me.
When you're back home, we'll look forward to catching up over lunch or coffee or something. And
the Judean Hills, I can't wait.
I'm grateful to you mentioning prayer, because that should go without saying, but it should be said. And I'm so glad you just reminded me. At our site where people can donate, there's also an opportunity to send prayers. So I'm already now intruding on you, and I'm going to, when we get them, when people make even $1, I don't care. Someone wants to donate $1 and send a prayer, we can translate it into Ukrainian electronically and shoot them off to you, so you know you can help people know that this is a monetary component, but it's coming with love from people from all over the world.
And that's so important. And really, it's this human connection that I spoke about before that makes it so beautiful.
Great.
And when we're able to turn around and show so many people from all over the world loving on them and praying on them and caring on them, this makes a difference. Thank you so very much,
Johnny Daniels,
and all of your viewers.
Thank you, Johnny. On the Polish border with Ukraine, we're praying for you and continued strength and success and a safe drive. We're grateful for you taking the time out today.
Amen. Thank you very much. God bless.
God bless you.